Hello, everyone. It's your favorite shrimp. I'm back. I was actually just looking and looking at some nominations from members of the BNG, and I was checking to make sure that they were all solid. And I came across this map, and it made me. And I was actually quite impressed by this map, and so I decided that I'm going to do sort of a mini series on maps that impressed me when I come across them, because it's very, very rare that I'm like, oh wow, this is kind of cool. And so I wanted to bring some positive attention to them and sort of have some positive content. I think that sometimes my channel is a little bit too much on the vetoes, a little bit too much on feedback on maps that I don't particularly like. So yeah, I'm gonna shout out some of the things I do like. So this map is this Natsukage Windsummer Remix. The mapper is Otter Hatsune, and yeah, it's I thought it, and of course the artist is Clean Tears. So you can see the details there. I was quite impressed by this map, not because I think it's like the best map ever or completely flawless by any means, but what I like is that of course it's got some decent hit sounds and all that fun stuff. But I think it does a really good job of sort of capturing the feeling of the song as it progresses, and mapping a very repetitive rhythm in a dynamic way. And I think a lot of mappers could learn from the way this map approaches movement and rhythm variety or patterning variety. So it keeps this section fairly calm because of the calm background vocals. I'll turn that volume up a bit more. Stuff like this, I always really like these sort of back and forth stuff. I believe this whole map is like key sounded as well, which is quite nice. It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Adds a nice little extra layer to the song. But it's got a really nice feeling with these the movement that it creates. It's really sort of emphasize a lot of the nuances in the song, like when you have this highlighted piano. It uses this more linear sort of movement rather than the sharp angle stuff. Could be maybe more exaggerated, but again, I didn't say it was perfect. Like this was really nice where you had this back and forth thing going on for that phrase. And then over here, creating this circular movement that expands. Very, very nice. And then the amount of balls that this mapper has to do stuff like this, like I just don't see this done very often. Where you have the same 1/4 rhythm, and this is 120 BPM, so it's certainly not you could treat it like 248 BPM 1/2, but that's really high BPM 1/2. So this is like still alternator territory. Most people don't really do this kind of like super dramatic stop movement to big jump or relatively big jump. It's challenging to play for sure. Very, very challenging finger control wise. But it really creates a nice sort of jerkiness, staccato feeling, which gives a ton of emphasis to those vocal phrases. And it's done in a repeated way, which is quite nice. It's not overly done either. There's enough of these like changes with the wider linear stuff that contrasts super nicely with it, so that it doesn't get overly repetitive. That being said, I wish that there was some maybe differences where there was the more prominent key sounded vocals here. But, you know, hey, pretty good overall. And this section feels very different because it has that more flowiness to it. It doesn't have the staccato movements. So it has a really nice contrast, even though it maintains a high intensity. And there's the repetition of the idea that we had introduced, or that they had introduced in the pre-ki, the pre-chorus previously, especially with this circular idea. And then this was really nice with this expanding 1/4 stream. Really nice. So what I think that this map does really well is that all the points of emphasis that I would expect to have emphasis are mapped in a way that does give them emphasis. So that's always nice to see. Look at all the breaks here. This is all fine stuff. Really nice build up there. I thought this was really nice the way that they had stacked these, especially these doubles for the double piano hit. Really nice. And the rhythm is really repetitive, but the movement variety and contrast really helps make this really dynamic. And even though this is really intense, it's very sort of intense in a very different way. So even though it's a calmer section, it feels calmer. All right. So overall, I was actually very impressed by this map, and I just wanted to share it. I definitely am not going to say it's perfect by any means. There's certainly some things that I think would be nice to have changed, but it's ranked. Nothing you can do about it now, and it's overall much better than the average map, in my opinion. So I think there's a lot that, um, especially newer mappers, can learn about mapping a repetitive song in an interesting way. You know, capturing sort of the vibes through the movement, and not just relying on your rhythm or your spacing to do that. Um, so yeah, if you have any questions, let me know, of course, and I'll see you later. It's as simple as that.